disconnected versus detachment. Now, what do I mean by that? This doesn't mean to be disconnected to the world, such as ignoring people or things or responsibilities, but it does mean to not be attached to those things either. Welcome back, everyone. We are looking back at this past week's Sunday readings and looking ahead to next Sunday's readings. We know that most people attending Mass don't look ahead to the readings they'll be hearing. So I hope you'll find our little show fun and useful, especially if you're looking to connect more to the Bible readings during Mass. My name is Vincent and my buddy's name is Roy. We've been friends since childhood and we both volunteer at different churches as lectors, or the guys who read at Mass. We'll offer our thoughts on the readings as well as share some fun stories about volunteering at church and everyday life. Okay, let's get started. All right, so new week, August already. So what's up with you? What's new with you?
Well, I saw you at Mass because I just went there because we were doing a lot of returns. We were returning things at the Whole Foods close to Our Lady of Peace. And we're like, okay,
you were returning things to Whole Foods?
Yes. Oh, technically returning things back to Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Remember
I thought you're like returning like a carton of milk.
Remember that package peek that I had? Yeah, definitely. I was like, okay, some things didn't work out. It's getting to that, the point of no return where we better start returning things.
Oh.
And then we could return stuff to Amazon and then go to Our Lady and then go have an early dinner. So kind of all worked out.
I'll put the picture right here. Yeah.
We were both wearing our Aloha shirts. Okay. So what did you do over the weekend?
Yeah, so after we met you, we actually went to a sushi place that we haven't been to in years. Both my wife and I had been there years ago before we actually met each other. It's Sendai Sushi. It's in...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So their sushi was really good, but their tempura was awesome. We couldn't stop talking about how good the tempura was. And I got the mackerel appetizer and it was perfect. All right, let's look ahead to the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time. The first reading is from the Book of Wisdom. Your people awaited the salvation of the just and the destruction of their foes. So the destruction of our foes should get us all excited. The responsorial psalm is Psalm 33. Blessed are the people whom the Lord has chosen to be his own. The second reading is from the letter to the Hebrews, where he says, faith is the realization of what is hoped for and evidence of things not seen.
I love that.
You love that? Nice. You get to read it later then.
Yeah. Oh, great.
And he goes on to describe Abraham's faith and lists out all the things that came about from his faith. Like, by faith, Abraham did this. By faith, this happened and that happened, right? So it's a whole litany of things that happened through Abraham's faith. And finally, the gospel is from Matthew. Here, Jesus tells us to always be prepared for when the Son of Man will come. Be like the servants who await their master's return. These are analogies that might not connect with us too much today, but the main idea is to always be vigilant and prepared to open the door immediately when the Son of Man knocks. So that is what we have in store for the gospel and the other readings this week.
So my reflection, helping you guys get to know a little bit more of the context. The Book of Wisdom lets you see the outcomes of the wise versus the wicked. So in this Sunday's passage, it shows that faith in the covenantal promise all the way back from Abraham, more than 400 years before Exodus, shows that it ultimately leads to life and salvation even after centuries. In the second reading, this letter is addressed to specifically the Jews. So it basically seems to have two goals. One, it relates how Jesus is to the Old Testament. Again, the whole typology, if you don't know what that means, relating Jesus to the items in the Old Testament, but that Jesus is an even better version of those characters in the Old Testament. And the Hebrews has to be faithful to all of his promises because he is the Old Testament, but better. So basically it goes through all the major plot points where Abraham had major leaps of faith that lead to the fulfillment of the prophecy of to the Jews all the way through us as Christians.
Reading it closely, I'm like, okay, Abraham did this and Abraham did that. Through his faith, this happened. All right, let's look back to the past Sunday's readings and the Mass that we both actually attended.
So guys, I don't want to pop your bubble, but you can't take all the things that you collected here on earth to heaven. You may have heard the saying, if you're not lying, stealing, or cheating, you're not trying. Well, you're definitely not trying to get into heaven if you're saying something like that. As always, Bishop Barron always has those great homilies. So in our last podcast, I translated the word vanity to its literal form, vapor. But I like Bishop Barron's correlation better, or hevel, which is the Jewish word, to bubble. It has a better connotation of it as fleeting or very temporary things. So the hinge in the readings for me is that how we store things for the treasure in heaven from the works we do here on earth. For the works and the services we do here on earth are meant to be given away, and they're just temporary. Because even if it outlasts you, it'll be gone. It's very temporary, like a bubble. But if we remember joy, all our relationships, and the love will stay with us for eternity. And if we relate it back to like a child and a bubble, where that simple joy of a child just watching a floating bubble, even though they know it's going to pop, they could bring like memories of joy all the way even to their elder years. So if you see Peter, his TSA will only allow you to bring those kind of things on board.
Peter's TSA. When I read that, I'm like, where's he going with that? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. For me, in the homily, two key ideas stood out for me from the homily. One is light or enlighten, and the other one was disconnected versus detachment. So the first one with light. There's nothing wrong with a bountiful harvest like the rich man, the rich fool, as he's sometimes characterized in the gospel last week. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't put this above your harvest in heaven, right? So the good harvest here on earth, if we see that in the light of heaven, we'll be able to see that harvest as something to be shared, not something to be stored up. In that sense, bountiful harvest, good. Sharing, good. All in that light of thinking about things that are above, right? Mm-hmm. The second one was disconnected versus detachment. So what do I mean by that? This doesn't mean to be disconnected to the world, such as ignoring people or things or responsibilities of the world around you. Those are still important. But it does mean to not be attached to those things either. Those aren't your final ends, right? Those can be a means to our hopefully good ends in heaven. So disconnected versus detachment. Don't be disconnected to the world, be connected, but don't be attached to the world. As you look up the notes for the readings this week, this is the How Would You Read This segment. And this week I pulled it from the second reading, that long reading from the letter to the Hebrews. Roy, I'm going to make you do this one.
Okay. Let me read the margins from my workbook for this. So it says, this passage points a hopeful future. Open slowly and then use the word because to clarify the logic connection between present faith and our ancestors in faith. How to pronounce sojourned. And then also it says, as you highlight the word faith throughout the reading, consider a slight pause after each occurrence. All right. Brothers and sisters, faith is a realization of what is hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Because of it, the ancients were well attested. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. He went out not knowing where he has to go. By faith, he sojourned in the promised land, as in a foreign country, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and maker is God.
That was good. The pauses were just right. I think your pauses were just careful enough so you don't stutter.
Okay.
So now you had good practice for your reading. Hopefully you get the second reading.
I'll probably ask for it. Usually on the second readings, I need practice the most. It's like I should ask for the shorter ones, but...
You're like, I ain't afraid. Okay, how was it? I hope you got some positive takeaways from this. Leave your thoughts below in the comments, and don't just like and subscribe, but also click that share button and share this with your family and friends as well. Take care and God bless. Just texted you the picture with us in front of some random person's Honda Accord.
You notice she's in the car?
We were covering her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we should have got her in there.
Yeah.
Would have been hilarious.
She's part of the podcast.
If anyone knows this lady.
Behind the scenes.
Lady, you got 53 views.